Hi there, friends. This is Brent here as productivity coach, and what I do is I show people how to attain high-level, sustainable productivity. And so this video is particularly exciting because I'm going to be getting into probably the most requested piece of advice that people come to me for. So whether it's just a one-off session or if I see people on a regular basis, just a single theme that seems to emerge with every single person that I work with in some way or another is this one topic that I'm about to get into. And so as a result, I've been, looking into it for a long time, and I've been experimenting with different techniques with my own self and in my own life, learning how to handle this particular problem. And it's gotten to the point now where I've really put it to rest, where really I have it solved, I figured it out, and I found that I'm even able to reduce it down into a formula of sorts, you could call it. Not quite, but it's sort of like you can use it like you would use a formula or a recipe. And so that subject is procrastination. So how to be done with procrastination. So therefore, the title of this video is How to End Procrastination Today. And so I realized, like these are big words and it's a big promise, but I really mean it. I really mean it. I think that if you listen to this, and you're going to have to stick with me through the whole way through. I'll endeavor not to make this too long, but you're going to need to listen to the whole thing in order to get the benefit out of it. So consider this an investment of your time and really kind of grapple with it. Like pay attention, and I'll give you, because what I'm going to give you is the real value. I'm not going to hold anything back. Like I'm going to give you the real stuff that you can use today to plug into your life and end procrastination. So here's a few caveats. So the first things first is that it's not necessarily going to make it easy, and what I'm about to share with you is not going to make procrastination go away automatically. So I found for myself and a lot of people that I'm speaking to, especially if you go on Reddit, there's like subreddits that are allocated to figuring out how to have a discipline or commitment, consistency, productivity, these kinds of things. And you get a lot of people who are looking for something that's just going to do it for them. It's, looking for just the right app or the right technique or lesson or theory or principle that you can just finally learn it. It's like, now I'm disciplined. Now I know how to stop procrastinating and I'm finally done. And it doesn't work that way because the route that we're going in order to be done procrastination and to actually do the stuff that you need to do in order to attain high-level sustainable productivity is going to be manual. You'll need to do it manually. None of this is done for you. You must do it. And so this is certainly not a magic bullet or a quick fix or anything along those lines. Rather, what this is that I'm about to share with you, this formula, is an orientation that makes everything crystal clear so that you know exactly what to do. And I would like for you to rest assured that you can do this. It is 1,000% within your ability to do as I say, and as I'm sharing here. The main evidence that you have that you are able to be disciplined and consistent and focused and to follow through on your commitments to things is that you have a strong desire to do so, that there's something in you that believes that this is possible, that would drive you to even watch a video like this in the first place. If you didn't think it was possible, then you wouldn't. Like, for example, if I created a video that was like how to move at the speed of light or how to defy Einstein's theory of relativity, like you might maybe like watch perhaps out of interest, but you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't expect any results from it, and rightfully so. But in this case, like there may be a part of you that senses that you actually just as opposed to the theory of relativity thing, like this actually is doable and this actually is a possibility for you. Even if you have failed several times, which you might have, especially if you've accumulated a few decades under your belt. Like I have 3 decades under my belt and I've experienced plenty of failure. And it's funny because like when you're 21 or 22, which you might be if you're listening to this, and that's totally cool. We come at it with this sense of like, raw, like, I can do anything. And then you kind of experience a few failures and you get a sense of what your limitations are in order to transcend your limitations. And all this to say, you can do it. You can set habits, you can be disciplined, and you can overcome procrastination today. Great. So, right. Oh, and just before we dive into, I also want to let you know that this is not a kind of what would you call it? Like when you're like pushing, where it's not just like a tough love kind of thing, like rah, just do it, all this energy, right? It's not about that, because there's a certain orientation that's required to overcome procrastination, where that you don't need to draw energy from, like, say, your mojo all the time, or in other words, like, you don't have to draw upon your willpower, but you draw upon an even deeper source of motivation that's way more permanent, way more sustainable, and I'll get into that as well. And then finally, if it is your desire to get coached, if it's your desire to let me get a chance to work with you so that I can get you into sustainable high-level productivity, and I can focus on you and help support you so that you can really start getting your shit done and operating at high-level sustainable productivity. If that appeals to you, you can get your first session for $5, and you totally should. I have all the links in the description below. Get a session for $5. Let me send you upward and onward into glory. Best decision that you will make all week, probably all month. All right. Okay, cool. So here is the formula. I'm going to lay it all out for you, then I'm going to explain it to you. And keep in mind, again, like, I'm giving you like the real shit here. So, like, I suggest that you honor this by taking this seriously and really engaging with this if it is your desire to overcome procrastination. So it goes as so. Number 1, clarity. Number 2, commitment. And then number 3, execution. Clarity, commitment, execution. So they kind of lead into each other. So I'll detail one by one. So the way clarity works is as so. What you need is a vision. This can trip up a lot of people, because especially in the beginning, what we do is we will carry visions or ideals about what we're supposed to do, and they are other people's ideals or visions. So an example of that would be if we have parents that have made up their minds about what career path we're supposed to take. Or actually, I've spoken with a lot of children of immigrant parents who went through tremendous hardship in order to come into the country that they're in, say America, Canada, or wherever else, and to establish themselves there. And then there can be sometimes a sense of debt that kind of carries over onto the children, like the children need to validate their parents' sacrifice. And so then you can have that kind of thing where you're creating your life for your parents or for somebody else's expectations, or you might be, creating your life in such a way that you want people to be impressed with you or for people to like you. So above all else, you need a strong vision for what you want, for what makes the most sense for you, for what actually excites you. So take a second before we do anything else and ask yourself, what is it that I want the most? What kind of life or lifestyle do I want to create for myself? Really bring all the options back on the table as you do this. So, like, let your imagination kind of float a little bit further than it usually does. Let yourself be slightly unrealistic, kind of like loosen your grip on what's possible and not possible, just momentarily for the purpose of this exercise, and kind of play with this boundary of what you think might be possible in terms of what you could create or do or make or have or whatever. So, and then create that vision. And then when that's done, kind of let it coalesce into a sort of kind of a vision of like, like, I think if I really went for it, I could do it. And if I could do it, it would be awesome. So like, it might be a career thing, it might be just a fitness thing, getting those 6-pack abs, whatever it is. And so choose what that is, and then get clear on what that is. And so that's the clarity piece. That's number 1. So you want to have a clear, specific vision of something that you would go for that would be a worthwhile endeavor, that if you were to make that into a reality, you would be very glad and you would feel good about yourself and you'd feel empowered and you'd feel excited and optimistic and all that. So that's important. So that's clarity. Quick pause. So the second part is commitment. And so this is where we start running into sometimes pretty tricky territory. because the vision that you had just created for yourself is the vision of your next level of growth. It is your next level of personal evolution, your next level of personal development. And that vision that you have, you've never experienced this vision in real life before. So there's an unprecedented quality about it. You've seen maybe other people walk into it, or maybe you've had a little bit of an experience of it before in yourself. So you have a little bit of a taste of it, but this vision that you've created that you want to step into, you've never stepped into it before. And so you're going to need to take a bit of a leap of faith. You're going to need to decide for real if it's possible or not for you to do this. And so don't take this lightly, because we can't proceed from here, because what you're about to do is difficult. It's like, it's going to require difficulty. Otherwise it would have happened already. Like, clearly you're going to need to do stuff that is both challenging. You're going to need to learn. You're going to need to expand. You're going to need to do things that freak you out a little bit, that feel a little bit nerve-wracking. You might be a little bit vulnerable or exposed. So there's a lot of shit that you're going to need to overcome in order to do this. And so therefore, there's no proceeding forward unless your commitment is absolute. Even 99% commitment and 1% like uncertainty, it won't cut it. Because if your commitment is not absolute, as soon as it starts getting difficult, which it will, you'll turn around and then slide back to square one. Have you ever had that experience before of sliding back to square one? I just realized I need to sit up a little bit, posture stuff. Have you ever gone back to square one? It's something that we can spend our whole lives doing that, like a little bit of progress and square one, a little bit of progress, square one. So 1 and 0, 1 and 0. And we want to step off of that treadmill, right? The whole purpose of this talk is to get you into a place where you are there's traction. You're actually moving in a single direction, and you're actually experiencing growth and progress, and you're tracking your progress, and you're like, yo, I'm further now than I was before. So we're clear on the vision, but we're going to need full commitment. And so you may be pushing back about this. You're like, oh, I don't know if I can commit to this. All my failures and like I've tried so hard, and I've let myself down so many times, and I don't know. And this is a tricky place to be in, because when you're in this place, right, please pay very close attention to this, because this is huge, and it's a little bit subtle. It's like you have this vision that you of course believe in, otherwise the vision, it just wouldn't have appeared. It's like the vision's there, and you deep down suspect that it is possible for you to do this. But you may also have so much doubt about your ability to actually accomplish it that you'd go, what's the point? What's the point? It's not worth it. Who cares? Life is short, whatever. And so then you're kind of over here. But if I were to look at you now, and if I were to say like, okay, decide one or the other, and you say like, nah, I think I can't do it, then I'd be like, okay, well then drop your dreams for good. This vision that you had, let it go for good. Let it go forever. Just let it go. And just let this level of your growth be it forever. And you're never going to grow ever again. And you're never going to evolve ever again. And it's just going to stay like this. Would that be okay with you? Is that cool? No judgments, right? No judgments. You decide for yourself. Is that okay? And if you're like most people, you'd say no. Well, no. And so see how you're polarized. You're kind of flipping back and forth between these two poles. You go towards your vision, it gets difficult, and you give up. But then you give up, and giving up, it's like that vision doesn't go away. That knowing doesn't go away. And so you start another attempt, and then it gets difficult, and then you give up. Boom, 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 boom. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So what we need is commitment. We need a full commitment. And so it doesn't mean like bust your ass. It doesn't mean like something terrible or intensely effortful is going to be required of you. It's not like that. We're not doing that. We're not going to push ourselves to injury or anything. But I would like to invite you to commit on the bottommost level. Commit on the very, very bottom, which all that means is even if you fail, which you will, We all fail, right? We're going to keep failing at things forever and ever, right? In our individual attempts at throwing the dart at the board, we'll miss every once in a while. It's fine. But if you throw a dart at the board and you miss, are you going to give up on hitting the target? No. So if you hit, so if you miss, if you mess something up, it sucks. Embarrassment, humiliation, doubt, fear, disappointment. You go through all that. It's fine, right? You go through all that. It's fine. And then you chill, eat a tub of ice cream, whatever it is, right? Do what you need to do. Have a good warm salt bath, right? Highly recommend a good hot salt bath, for the love of God. It's the best thing. And then come at it again. And that's the way. So in other words, when you fail, even because you fail, it doesn't mean you let go of your commitment. You stick with the knowing that this is possible, and you never ever let that go ever again. Because if you're willing to do that, that's commitment on the bottommost level. Then from thenceforth, all of your attempts are progressively giving you more experience as you get better and better, and you're getting closer and closer and closer. So that's commitment. So you have your vision, number one. Number two, commit to your vision. Commit to knowing that it's possible. Commit to not stopping until you actualize it, because stopping is just not an option. I mean, you can rest as much as you need, but don't stop. Cool. And so number three, execution. Whenever I talk on video, like I'm about 100% comfortable with it now, but I notice that like my breath only like kind of comes like to a certain point in my chest, and I want to really, there we go, something like that. Okay, so number three, execution. So here's where the rubber hits the road. So you have a vision, you have clarity, you have commitment. You create a plan for where you want to be in 3 months. That's a great period of time. Choose a 3-month marker. And by 3 months, have a what do we call it? I learned this from Cal Newport in his book, Deep Work. Leading and lagging measures. There we go. So lead measures are what you do that you have control over, and lagging measures are what happens when you do the things that you need to do. So for example, a lead measure might be planting seeds in the soil, which you have full control over, and lagging measures are the amount of fruit that you harvest, which is just like, you can't make fruit grow. You can just create the conditions for fruit to grow. A different one would be making sales if you have a sales job. So like leading factors, what is it? Come on. Lead measures. Yeah, lead measures are like, how many phone numbers you call, or how many people you make a sale to, and all the research you do, that you have control over. And lagging measures are the actual sales that you end up making, which you can't make them happen, but you can just create conditions for them to happen and get good at that. So ideally, have a goal set for both your lead measures and lag measures. So if it's to get 6-pack abs, it's like, the lead measure is like, how much you consume in terms of calories, carbs, fats, how much exercise you do. And then of course the lagging measure is the how many visible abdominal muscles that you have, something like that. So have a goal for both at the end of the 3 months, okay? And then have a goal for 1 month, so that when you hit your 1 month targets, lead and lag, then they will correspond to the 3 month mark, right? So you'll be a third of the way there approximately. And then so you have your 1 month in place, and now have a 1 week plan in place, right? And then when you're on track for the week, you're on track for the month, and then have your daily plan. And every night you make your daily plan, and every morning you execute the daily plan. So that's it. And so finally, we can talk about procrastination, right? So you got all your shit in place. It's amazing, right? It's so simple, isn't it? Right? As I'm talking about this, are you kind of getting a feeling of it? It's like your vision, like clearly this is important enough for you to commit to. You're committed, so you're like, okay, no matter what it takes, I'm going to do it. No matter what it takes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to stick with it until it's done. And I'm not going to give up on the vision ever again, right? It's intense, but you can do it. And now you have a plan, you have a strategy, and now you have daily actions. So now, okay, so your daily actions, right? This is where the rubber hits the road, and this is where the procrastination happens. So suppose it's like, exercise. Like we're talking about abs maybe, because that's my current project, right? So abs, right? And you have to exercise, and you have this 15-minute workout that you got to do, and you have this diet that you have to maintain. So when it comes time to do the exercise, either set a time where you're going to do it, or have a time that it must be done by. So it's like by 6 p.m. I need to have that workout done. And that's fine. Then do whatever you want before 6 p.m. Or be like, at 3 p.m. I'm going to do this workout, and then do it. And what will happen is, this is the most important, all of this is important, but this is a really, really very, very central piece. So please stick with me. When it comes time to actually do the thing, the part of you that does not want to step into the unknown will crop up. The part of you that's scared, the part of you that doesn't like it, the part of you that is not interested in work and effort, the part of you that doesn't want to do this, that will kick up a fuss. That's exactly when you can expect it to come up. And it will create as much trouble for you as it possibly can to get you to stop doing it. And so what we're doing here is we're not aiming for perfection, but what we're beginning is a relationship where we learn how to negotiate with that aspect of ourselves. We can call it the resistance, to use Stephen Pressfield's words, the resistance. And so the resistance will come up. And the idea here, we don't just push through. So that's what I meant earlier about my caveat in the beginning of this video about we're not just pushing through, because if we just push through the resistance, then it's going to keep requiring willpower every single time until you run out of willpower. Your willpower is finite in the span of a day and in the span of a week. So if you're just using up your willpower, then your endeavor to do this exercise is time bound in the sense that it will collapse eventually, and you'll be offering more and more effort and getting less and less results until the whole thing collapses. So we don't want to just push, but instead we do a couple things. First of all, I'm looking at my notes here. Okay, yeah. So first of all, what we do is we look at the excuses that we come up with in order to get out of doing the thing. What are the reasons that we create for getting out of exercise, or waking up on time, or diet stuff, or work stuff? Whatever those excuses are, we should treat them respectfully, because they're coming from a part of our own selves that we should respect and honor, and not ridicule, not treat like an obstacle, not abuse or insult. And we're not doing any of that, right? Because we're being nice to ourselves, right? We need to be respectful with ourselves. But when an excuse comes up to get out of doing the thing that you're supposed to do when it's time to do it, can you know that excuse is false? It's not real. It'll say stuff like, I don't have to. I shouldn't have to. I want the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want it. I think I have the wrong plan. This is the wrong plan. I should be doing something else instead. I should, kind of attack the problem on another front. I can't do this. It's going to make me feel bad. I don't have the energy for it, right? Any excuse that you say to yourself where you're like, ooh, wow, yeah, you're right. Maybe I shouldn't do that thing. Whatever that is, it's false. It's false. It's false. So can you know that excuse is false, and then move forward? And it's different. You're not you're not pushing past. You're just kind of like, okay, wow, thank you for this excuse. Thank you, right? It's just, okay, I hear that. I acknowledge it. I understand. I respect it. And I'm just going to go ahead anyways. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the exercise. That is how you pave the way to start doing it. So that's the mental aspect. And then there's the emotional aspect, where it's like, There will be this sort of like tantrum feeling that will come up. That's like, nah, like, nah, I don't want to. Or like, oh, no. Or, oh, I'm just like, there'll be this like kind of like emotional kind of like closing down, or like, when you see a 3-year-old being like, I don't want to, like, like that kind of thing. And so when that comes up, you just sit with it. You just feel it. Just feel it. Breathe through it. Relax into it. And it will continue to come up as you're doing the thing. And so you just kind of continue as you're doing it. That's fine. And then you'll notice the feelings will start to dissipate. You have to be very, very present with your feelings. You're not trying to make them go away. You're not trying to do anything. You just kind of feel into these feelings. And then as you do, it'll start to dissipate. And then there will be nothing to overcome in order to do the thing eventually. But when all else fails, when you know that not doing it is not an option. So in other words, you're committed to doing the thing. The only way is forward. And all you need to do is just simply do the best that you can. Even if it's just the first step out of 100, just do whatever you're able to do in this one iteration. Let that be enough. Congratulate yourself for it, no matter how small it is. And then the next day, come at it again and do exactly that amount or a little bit more. And then just keep bridging the process. Just keep giving what you're able to do. Stay steadfast. Keep showing up every single day. If you don't show up for some reason, then make the necessary adjustments so that you do show up. Set the alarm so that you remember what to do. If you find that, a whole week has gone by and you haven't really taken action on it, ask yourself, okay, well, like, what needs to happen so that I can do this? Because remember, we're committed on the bottommost level. So we need to figure out how to do this. So that's it. Clarity, commitment, execution. Execute as much as you can. Don't push yourself to injury. Just execute as much as you can. Go as far as you can and go, okay, that's enough for today. Come at it again tomorrow. That daily consistency is what we need. Not you like being a rock star on like 2 days and then giving up. That's not helpful at all. The daily commitment of doing something every day, that is where the real traction lays. Okay? Clarity, commitment, execution. Get your $5 coaching session with me in the link below. Also opt into my email list too. You can get a full 5-day training for high-level sustainable productivity. It's just totally free. It's called the 5-Point Productivity First Aid Kits, the PDF, and you get the follow-up series. It's amazing. I put all this work into it, and that's what I got for you. All right. Hit me up with a comment or a question if you have anything. Talk to you soon.